We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress. I want to see a ceasefire. I'm in this to stop the killing. The war's got to stop and the killing's got to stop.
And Trump says he's ordered the deployment of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines.
I was the only president for 78 years. No war started.
News from the President of the United States that there has been an attack inside Iran.
President Trump has brokered, on average, about 1 peace deal or ceasefire per month. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
He's threatened in recent weeks to take back the canal by force if necessary.
We had an extremely productive meeting, and we're going to stop thousands of people a week from being killed.
The United States has dispatched 3 Aegis-class guided missile destroyers straight toward Venezuelan waters.
You are the single finest candidate since the Nobel Peace Award was ever talked about to receive that reward.
I want peace through strength.
If I were the government and I knew World War III was approaching and the proverbial day X was on the horizon, I would not warn you. I would keep order. I would keep people calmed. Why? Because panic, not missiles, will break the country first. And this is well historically precedented. Tonight we connect the dots on how a government sells calm while preparing for war and what that means for you. When people sense war, the economy stalls, markets crash, supply chains jam, and public services teeter. Investment stops, money flees, and some people flee the country. Panic, not missiles, are what crashes society first. So the playbook, if you're the government, is simple. If you're preparing for war, you must project peace at all costs. This is the pacification paradox. The closer you get to war, the more you'll hear about peace. This is a deliberate strategy in which leaders project peace, normalcy, and market stability in order to suppress panic and preserve freedom of action while simultaneously accelerating covert mobilization and war preparations. Why is this a paradox? Well, the more peace is signaled, the closer large-scale escalation may be. Pacification buys time and prevents any pre-strike chaos, but it also conceals the rising risk. For the sake of continuity of government, you as an individual will not be forewarned about the coming calamity. This is called the noble lie. Governments justify withholding information from the public because it's perceived to be in the interests of the greater good. In the run-up to World War III, the gap between reality and rhetoric will become more apparent. Reassuring messages will be accompanied with more military deployments, border fortifications, stockpiling contracts, surveillance of adversarial countries, and communication tests. Throughout history, governments have often prioritized maintaining social order over honestly informing the public about the true severity of a conflict or impending crisis. For example, the Ukraine War. In the run-up to the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, leadership knew that an attack was coming. They were informed by US intelligence, but they avoided saying so to prevent roadway gridlock, logistics interference, and draft evasion. Similarly, we had the Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin Geneva Summit on June 16, 2021. At this summit, leaders pledged strategic stability talks and restored ambassadors, and within only months, Russia escalated its buildup and launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Another example is in 1938 with the Munich Agreement. 1 year before the start of World War II, Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of the UK, met with Adolf Hitler, and they promised peace in our time. They signed an agreement which was a pact between Nazi Germany, Italy, France, and the United Kingdom that permitted Germany to annex certain territories on the promise that there wouldn't be an outbreak of a broader war. Only months later, Germany occupied all of Czechoslovakia and proceeded to invade Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. In the same way, the Germans and the Russians had a pact in 1939. This was called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This was intended to be a German-Soviet non-aggression agreement, and it was up until 1941. when Germany initiated Operation Barbarossa, which remains until this day the single biggest military invasion in human history. Now, fast forward to today, and we have the Alaska Summit, a largely unexpected meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska, one characterized by the slogan, "Pursuing Peace." Here, the red carpet was rolled out to Vladimir Putin on the promise that a peaceful resolution to the conflict was surely on the horizon. And what happened after this summit? Well, only a few days later, the US pledged long-range missile capabilities to Ukraine, and the war continued to intensify in ways that it hadn't up until that point. So if World War III was imminent, what would you do if you were the government? Step number 1, maintain order at all costs. Prevent market turmoil, civil unrest, looting, protests, panic buying, mass evacuations, all of which could cripple society before the first strike. The imperative would be to keep the stock market propped up no matter what. If this means cutting rates to near zero and accepting a weaker dollar, even half its current value, as long as people see their accounts in the green, this should keep the economy aloft.
We have the hottest economy on earth. We have the hottest country. We just set a new stock market record again.
I would also rapidly try to force the onshoring of the means of production. This is going to be absolutely essential for the procurement of military materiel. But you would also have to do this without spooking the markets. I would do this by promoting tariffs.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
Lowering interest rates and trying to keep speculative markets like cryptocurrencies elevated.
This afternoon, we take a giant step to cement American dominance of global finance and crypto technology.
It's imperative that throughout this process, the government does everything to project the idea that everything is under control. Always talk about peace while actively preparing for war. We see this in the deployment of B-2 bombers to Iran, the enabling of Ukraine to do deep strikes into Russian territory, forward deployment of assets in and around the Arctic and Northern European regions to counter Russia's nuclear forces, and the deployment of warships towards Venezuela's coastline.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat.
Step 2 would be to prevent riots before they start. Deploy the National Guard in cities under the banner of crime control or even disaster relief training. Never martial law. This will work to normalize paramilitary in the streets.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
I would try to promote military service as the trendy and patriotic thing to do. Get the defense minister to do push-ups and have military parades. It's helpful that we've been training the population for lockdowns over the last 5 years. We're going to leverage that compliance muscle memory to the fullest. We're going to work to harden logistics, fuel depots, ports, distribution centers as critical infrastructural protection. We're also going to use things like the Big Beautiful Bill Act to surreptitiously increase funding for border security, not just for migrants who might seek to illegally enter into the country, but also for the purpose of national security. Having a government, military, or police presence will make dissenters think twice and silence critics before resistance can even materialize. Step number 3, we need to control the narrative. We must project peace at all costs. Every presser must talk about how talks are going well or are progressing.
We agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached.
We also need to seed controlled disinformation to ridicule any doomers or people who are calling attention to the disconnect between what we're seeing on the ground and the peaceful rhetoric that we're hearing. Accuse these people of doomerism or derangement syndrome.
Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before.
Control mainstream news cycles with optimistic sound bites. Have the presidential spokesperson constantly remind people of how great things are.
Our economy is bringing in trillions of dollars in revenue from all over the world.
Push stability headlines like the stock market is strong, the economy is stable, and peace talks are underway. Step number 4, we would quietly make preparations, stocking the bunkers and hardening critical infrastructure, forward deploying military hardware under the guise of exercises and proactive measures.
We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
We would see unusual deployments like strategic bombers, submarines, and command and control planes like the E-6B Doomsday plane suddenly become active. We might even see supply chain disruptions, food prices creeping out without any obvious cause. Step number 5 would be to make sure that you keep the public distracted. Keep entertainment and a sense of normalcy humming. Things like sports, Netflix, celebrity scandals, anything to keep the eyes off the logistics. You could even try to win the public trust by creating things like the Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets. Talk about Fort Knox, mysterious drones, aliens, and Epstein, without ever revealing anything important and consequential.
And we're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there. Yeah, people coming from space, you know.
How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would.
You might even want to stage a spectacle like a UFC match at the White House. Whatever bread and circus extravaganza is required to keep people mentally subdued and incurious. Step number 6 is the information lockdown. Throttle social media and manipulate algorithms, even trigger short blackouts if rumors start to surge that something is going on. Prepare for internet slowdowns or even flip in the kill switch. Starlink disruptions, telecoms and ATM outages. Explain all of this as being the cause of technical issues or software updates. If nuclear war was imminent, you'd hear calm words while the machinery moved in the opposite direction. Believe the actions, not the slogans. Because the closer we get to war, the more they're likely to talk about peace.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.